But meanwhile, I will ask Guillermo to start with this final session, which is about the launch of the Toolbox Guide 2025. Please do stay with us for this launch. There's also going to be, you'll get the IFC case study at the end of it, and just a little bit of a final bit at the end as well. So please stay with us till right to the end. It would be appreciated. Guillermo, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. And thank you everyone for making it this far. We're about to finish, and we're going to present a really important part of AMEA. AMEA's work is also supported by its toolbox. The toolbox is represented by the tool owners and curriculum owners who basically support the professionalization of farmer organizations and agri-SMEs. This AMEA Toolbox right now, it's being renewed on the content. Some of you have seen the previous versions on other years. We're trying to get much more useful toolbox for the implementers and for the policy makers. This toolbox has been peer reviewed before, so the tools that are in there are peer reviewed. And now we included the alignment to ISO 18716, which is the ISO that corresponds to professional and farmer organizations. We're trying also to make it easy for data-driven capacity building and access to finance, service, and markets. And if you move to the next slide, please. We have included 4 sections in total in this new toolbox, which is the tool information for all of them. There's a detailed profile. We're going to hear a little from these profiles in a moment. We include also the ISO alignment that I was commenting. And then there's additional resources and interoperability. Among the tools, there are examples of how they integrate within each other. And we had updated that in our new toolbox. So with that said, I would like to move on and present the first tool that comes into our toolbox, which is Scope Insight. And for that, I'm going to invite Vanessa Rizzi, who's joining us from Scope Insight, who will be talking a little, just give us an overview about what is included in this toolbox guide.
Thanks, Guillermo, and good afternoon or good morning to everyone here. Sadly, I did not make the first chunk of this afternoon because I had a competing engagement, but I participated yesterday and we talked a lot about BDS service provision, and Hedvig and others stressed a lot on the importance of making sure that those BDS services are based on a real needs assessment, a real on data really that is coming from the cooperatives. And I feel like with this, before I go into kind of the Scope Insight tools, which many of you already know, I wanted to share a couple of reflections. I feel like with the work that we're doing in AMEA and with this toolbox, we're really collectively setting the stage or the scene for a more interoperable way of working together, of using these tools, of using these resources together, combining them for project or activity implementation, and a bit like other sectors do out there, logistics, health, and whatnot, except the agriculture sector. So we're really pioneers. Collectively, we're pioneers in doing this. And I have seen, and not just this year with Scope Insight, but listening and also engaging with some of our partners over the years, that the use of these tools in a synergetic way really has enabled for AMEA members it's translated into better support for the cooperatives and a better performance monitoring of the cooperatives overall from start to end of their interventions. So it has already brought some positive things, and I think I'm comforted by that. So overall, I feel we're on the right track. So the Scope Insight tools that have been peer reviewed by AMEA consist in the Scope Basics, Scope Pro, and Scope Input Retailer. And these are targeted assessments, the first two for farmer organizations specifically, and the Scope Input Retailer, like the name says, for last mile input retailers out there. And the objective is of these tools that are part of a wider vision of graduating farmer organizations to higher levels of professionalism really go into the details of the various dimensions that make up a business and the functioning of a business. If we can go to the next slide. And these are 8 key dimensions. There's internal management, financial management, production, market, external risks, operations, sustainability, and enabling environment. And the Scope Pro looks into the financial performance as well. So the difference between the Scope Basic and Pro is slightly in the number of questions. These are assessments that on average have 160 questions. So the Scope Pro has slightly more, and the difference is that it is applied for more mature either SMEs or farmer organizations that have at least a couple of years of audited financial records. And the alignment with the ISO rests in the collection of key data points, key metrics that will speak to those core competencies and performance areas that the ISO has highlighted as what makes a farmer organization professional. So throughout those performance areas, you will be able to recognize, and throughout the dimensions, so vice versa, you would be able to recognize how these two link. So it is hopefully useful, and we'll hear more. And you will see in the tool guide, there are examples of a successful use of these tools even before the ISO came into being, but they were aligned to the IWA 29 before that. But yeah, it allows you to collect those KPIs. So if you are setting up your program and you're making sure that you want to collect information on those key performance areas that the ISO highlights, then these, let's say, dimensions would enable that data collection along those same metrics. Next slide. So here because I added my 2 cents into the interoperable use of all of these tools together before, I feel like I shouldn't be spending too much time on this slide, also because you'll be able to access these links from the actual file itself and on the AMEA website as well. But yeah, there are examples out there. I think the users of all of these tools put together have been Ricolto, Nuru, ATL, just to name a few. And yeah, so they will also not present today, but you'll be able to read on from their experience from the Toolbox guide. So thank you for the attention. I hope I stayed within my 5 minutes. Yeah, less.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vanessa. I appreciate it. And with that, we're going to open it up for Amy, who's joining us from IFC. She's going to present to us the AOP, or Agribusiness Leadership Program, which is a curriculum that is also included in the toolbox and was included as well, considering the ISO alignment and the interoperability capacity. So with that, I leave you with Amy.
Thank you, Guillermo. I will be quick because of time constraints and also because I am sick today and my brain is rather fuzzy. Keep this short. Yes, ALP really started the same year as AMEA in 2016. And we started as an in-person program with training and coaching, working primarily with producer organizations. Today, we work with a wider selection of agri SMEs. And as you heard from Salam talking about the Souffle project and aggregators and others in the supply chain. So we work with retailers, could be agents. We've worked with poultry agents. We've worked with cooperatives. So anyway, we have a wider range of organizations we work with these days. And we also use a blended learning model for integrating the digital, the in-person, and the coaching components. You see here what digital learning content is available. Actually, in the next couple of days, a new one's being added to this, the fundamentals of ALP coaching. So we'll have 9 learning paths after this, or within a few days. This is all available on the World Bank's Open Learning Campus. So it's available to anybody who wants to go on and register. You just have to set up a free account. That's all. And you can see that. And we're starting to use this, integrate this into our projects. Okay, next slide. Okay, and the alignment with ISO 18716, we do touch on all these areas, the 6 performance areas, but we have particular focus on governance, business management, financial management, and member services. We have a lot of digital and classroom-based content in those areas. Okay, next slide. And so the interoperability we have, you see here, and also we have worked with Nuru and Africa Turnaround. Peter mentioned that we're working together on this next project and certifying local BDS providers in Kenya through Africa Turnaround. And we very much align with them, with ATL's thoughts on working together to collaborate and not having to always having to remake a capacity building program where everybody designing their own content. So we look forward to keeping the AMEA network up to date on our progress there, working with ATL. And we have worked with Nuru in the past. And you see there's some links, I guess, that will be provided to some of our use cases. So I'm gonna stop there, Guillermo, in the interest of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, and I hope you feel better. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to move on then as well. I present the third tool or curriculum that is included in the Toolbox guide this year, and it's ABC Training and Coaching from ICRA. So that we have two colleagues from ICRA who are joining us. You can see them together on the video, Chris and Roland.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, we just coming out of a staff retreat, having the luxury of sitting together behind one screen. I see a lot of familiar names. So shortly, ICRA is a training-based foundation. For over 40 years, we train agricultural professionals and build a pool of skilled partnership facilitators. And that's also a little bit the content of the ICRA tools in AMEA Toolkit. We equip BDS providers to deploy proven partnership facilitation methods and tools, which are available to you as soon the Toolbox will be launched. And secondly, we equip BDS providers to bring farm organizations, agri-SMEs, and local BDS providers together and facilitate this joint diagnostic of their business situation and design of strategic action plans. We also put a lot of focus on, once these plans are there, they're implemented, focus on field coaching, facilitating continuous collective learning around the implementation process and key decision moments in the process. Working together in multi-stakeholder partnerships also requires a lot of relationship building. So that's what we also train BDS providers to do, conflict handling and guiding negotiation processes. Roughly how we measure the success of these type of partnerships, we call them, in these local networks, we call them clusters. We track indicators of the volume that's traded within those partnerships and clusters, and the number of contracts that have been signed, the amount of loans, and the number of loans that have been mobilized, and the actors involved in those clusters. You see a bit of a visual. It's a bit still conceptual. You can maybe look at in more detail at it later. But what I thought, like also since I have here, he could maybe present, how this visual is implemented in practice. Quickly, you see a figure with some key lines of activities from 1 till 7, starting with the selection of key commodity focus that this partnership focuses on, selection of the key lead firms or anchor firms, which also can be smaller traders or aggregators that are key part of this partnership, scoping their network. And from there, I think I will let Roland just present in 1-2 minutes an actual case that we worked on in Niger, which can give you a better impression. So if you can go to the next slide.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. The ABC used in practice in Niger. We use it with Enable ITA, and we support 10 clusters in dairy sector, poultry, and red meat sector. Before we start our assignment, Enable already identified and selected the clusters and also the aggregators and also farmers organization. And then we come to select the master trainer and also the coaches who are going to support the clusters. When we select them, we train them on the ABC approach, and then we make what we call the D&D workshop, the Delta and Design workshop. And the outcome of this D&D workshop is the cluster action plan, and then each cluster has his action plan. And from the action plan, we have a learning cycle. In the learning cycle, we train coaches on some topic, and then they have to go on field and then work with a stakeholder on those topics. In our case, we work on forestation skills, conflict handling, negotiation skills, and also contracting. And during this project, who lasts 15 months, we had 4 learning cycles, and at the end of the for like learning cycle, we have a reflect and adapt workshop to help us to review what we have done during 15 last month and then also adjust the action plan for the next year. As a key outcome of the first year, we have
Hey, it's Peter and Roland. I'm sorry, we have sort of run out of time. I don't know. And people will be able to see the outcomes. They'll be able
Yes.
to click on the
Yeah.
case study, won't they?
And-
So
No,
I think we're going to have to respect people's time because otherwise people will start logging off, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. Grandma,
No worries.
is that okay that we can...
Yes, we can wrap up now and just announce that in the next week we're going to be publishing the complete toolbox and that more resources can be consulted over there. But thank you very much, Case and Roland, and all of you who participated.
Yeah, thank you. And as you can see, there's lots of case studies on the ABC approach. So you'll be able to download that and see so like you know how it's done in various countries. And it clearly is a very successful approach. What I want to do last little bit is one, I'll ask Carla to drop the IFC case study in the chat because it is ready. It is on the website. It is now live.